Greetings, acolytes of the galaxy, and welcome back to the archives. Mustafar, the lava-flooded world in which one of the most climactic duels of Star Wars took place. Many of us have the image of the Chosen One lying on that black sand beach, being burned down into his very organs, seared into our memories. The planet, though, is far more significant than you may realize. It is far more than just any mining world owned by the Techno Union. In fact, the world of Mustafar has a very rich and a tragic history. So today, we are going to dive into the terrifying origins of Mustafar in both canon and Legends continuity. So, acolytes, gather your star maps and your enviro suits, because into the Crucible we go. In both canon and Legends, Mustafar was described as once being a lush green world full of life and vegetation, a strike contrast to what we saw in Revenge of the Sith. This was of course many thousands of years ago, but unfortunately, like many things, this did not last. In Legends, Mustafar was once home to a Jedi enclave which was led by Jedi Master Chu-Gan Dar in 5300 BBY. Master Chu-Gan Dar was said to have had total mastery of the physical force, and his power was far beyond anything of his contemporaries. He created a powerful light side artifact known as the Chu-Gan Dar Cube, which held the ability to both channel and manipulate the physical force to alter the physical properties of an item placed inside of it. Later on, they found out that Chu-Gan Dar managed to become so powerful due to the existence of a massive crystal found on the world of Mustafar, which greatly boosted the power of any given Jedi. In 3996 BBY, Exar Kun's Sith Empire assembled to attack the planet and destroy the Jedi Enclave. However, they soon learned something devastating whenever they landed. The Jedi decided to use the power of the crystal to battle the Sith, keeping this power secret for hundreds of years. The Jedi decided to use this great power of the crystal to battle the Sith as the warships entered Mustafar's atmosphere. The Jedi Masters began channeling the Force through the crystal, while the younger Jedi led the troops into battle against the Sith army. This strategy worked perfectly, as the Jedi on the battlefield could use more powers than ever, whereas the Sith could barely touch the Force at all. Mustafar proving to be the Jedi's savior. The battle was a slaughter, as the Jedi managed to continuously repel the Sith troops and attacks, overpowering them with an immense strength in the light side never seen before. Unfortunately, the Jedi had not previously tested the crystal's capability, and the worst outcome that the Jedi could have ever imagined happened. As the battle was raging, the crystal suddenly began to crack. Nevertheless, the Jedi Masters refused to stop channeling the Force, and the crystal eventually exploded. The results were catastrophic. The power of the crystal's explosion literally sent the planet itself out of its orbit. The very world of Mustafar went spinning out of control until it got caught in the middle of a gravitational conflict between two gas giants in the sector. The name of these giants were Lefrani and Jestifat. This tug of war caused immense tidal stresses to roil the planet's molten core, which in turn flooded the crust with lava and decimated all surface life on the world of Mustafar, including all of the Jedi and Sith present. Only a single man survived this horrible apocalypse, Master Egg Crow, who used the power of the crystal to shield himself from everything. A single Jedi, though he was still fatally wounded following this. Using the last of his power, he placed a shield over the crystal so that it would never be found again. Mustafar would eventually regain its place in the gravitational rotation, but it was never the same. Soon, mining companies found that there were valuable minerals to be mined off of Mustafar, and eventually, it became a full-fledged mining colony. Certainly a shocking series of events from the green, lush, and life-filled planet that Mustafar previously was. The canon explanation, though, for the tragic events of Mustafar and its creation are slightly different, as it doesn't contain the inclusion of the Jedi or Sith in a great war as Legends does. In canon, the myth of the world goes to the native Mustafarians, and that they had an artifact known as the Bright Star. The Bright Star, which was a sacred and powerful object that nourished the planet itself. Soon, two outsiders came to the world of Mustafar, a husband and a wife, the latter whose name was Lady Corvax. The two of them lived on the world in joy and peace until one day the planet was invaded and Lady Corvax's husband died in battle. Unable to cope with her husband's death, the Force-sensitive Lady Corvax stole the Bright Star, believing it to have the power to not only give her immortality, but also resurrect her fallen husband. She then created a machine called the Aeon Engine, in which she placed the Bright Star to power it. This pulsing energies to ripple out from the machine and the artifact impact which covered the whole planet and pushed Mustafar out of its orbit. Just like in Legends, it caught in its gravitational tug-of-war between the gas giants, the same gas giants as before. Almost every living thing died on Mustafar, as it was rendered a volcanic wasteland due to its precarious new orbit. The last native Mustafarians that did survive had to evolve into tough creatures in order to survive their devastated homeworld, refusing to leave. Later, many thousand years in the timeline, Darth Vader would also attempt to use this exact same engine to revive Padme, finally bringing peace to this corrupted soul, just as Lady Corvax did. However, just as Lady Corvax failed, so did the Chosen One, Anakin. So, Acolytes, Mustafar's origins, and the events that take place can only be really summed up in a single word. That word is tragic. I think those who got the worst outcome in both of these tales were the native Mustafarians, who never got a say in either of these events whatsoever, as the Jedi and Sith brought war to the lush world of Mustafar, and Lady Corvax, a visitor, was corrupted by grief. Stories would continue to unfold on Mustafar long after these events, as we know. Even after the burning of Anakin Skywalker, Vader and the Empire continued to subjugate the world, with Vader causing the world to be further bathed in the dark side due to his castle sitting there. Vader even discovered that there was a dark side nexus on the world of Mustafar, likely placed there by either the great conflict between the Jedi and the Sith and the Great Death, or the fall of Lady Corvax herself. Mustafar also became home to the dark side organization known as the Black Guard. These guys were actually an offshoot of the Sith Brotherhood of Darkness created by Lord Khan's own apprentice who survived, an apprentice named Vulta Danat, who fled to Mustafar for a new beginning. Interestingly though, the Black Guard primarily adhered to the dark side, although they didn't believe in the inherent nature of light or dark sides, but that light and darkness dwelled within the individual user. They believed that the philosophy of the Force lie in the aspects of every other Force organization, which is why members of the Black Guard were spread throughout the entire galaxy, but mainly used Mustafar as their hub. But anyway, my friends, tell us, which of these origin stories do you prefer, and which do you find to be more interesting? Personally, I like the Legends explanation, something about an extremely powerful light side crystal causing Jedi Knights to be supercharged, and then its subsequent explosion being powerful enough to rend an entire planet out of its orbit is extremely interesting. But what are your thoughts? Let us know your thoughts in the comments down below. And as always, my friends, may the Force be with you, and have a great day.